While we try to be as helpful as possible, this podcast should not be considered as professional or financial advice. It contains general information only, and you should seek out professional advice for your own personal circumstances before making any financial decisions.
All right, well, I'm Julia.
And I'm Nik.
And this is the Enthusiast Lab. So guys, we came back today. This morning we drove down to Ravenswood and we got to hand over Shayla's home to her, and it was such a lovely experience.
Congrats again, Shayla. It's been a ride with her. I've met Shayla a couple of years ago. Originally she was with her ex. Shit didn't work out. She wasn't in the job back then. She's moved a few jobs, and we just always kept touch base every couple months. And yeah, she finally reached out last year in March, towards end of March, early April, and we got the ball rolling. And she did it all on her own. Fucking kudos to her. Like it's scary and it's daunting to build your own home, and let alone to do it on your own with no other support, income support as a chick. Fucking kudos to you, man. And to see the excitement on her face today, it was.
Left with ooey gooey vibes.
It was fucking worth all that hard work. You could see it all put together, and it was fucking amazing. That's what we do this for.
So today's topic, we've done 3 episodes about building and how to get into your first home, and I realised that we haven't actually introduced ourselves. And
who the fuck is Mr Enthusiast?
Who are we? And what I wanted to talk about is, our build experience and who we are, and introduce ourselves to people who don't know us, who haven't met us, because our clients know who we are. And we always talk as if we're talking to our clients. But
yes.
I think a lot of people don't know who we are. So I thought we'd introduce ourselves and really talk about our build experience and why we got into the industry.
Yeah, I think that's a good selling point.
Yeah, so we have been high school sweethearts. We got together in 2010. So been together for 13 years now.
Yep. Fuck.
Nik proposed in 2019 and got married in 2021.
Thanks to COVID.
Yeah, thanks COVID. Yeah, that was delayed. And we are the proud owners of 2 dogs and a cat.
Yes, 2 puppies and a cat.
Yeah, and I guess to snowball into our build experience, what if I told you guys that we started in the industry because of golf balls and a bad building experience?
Fuck, I haven't really told many people about the golf balls. Shit.
So let's go the way back machine and go back to 2016 when Nik was a apprentice mechanic.
Yep.
And I was
finishing up. It was 3rd year, going on to 4th year.
Yeah, and
sign off.
I was working as a before and after school educator. Wasn't a teacher. I was studying to become a teacher.
Yep.
And we were in the tail end of our rental property, and we had reached out to we went display home shopping actually.
Yeah, you dragged me through that shit. Fuck, I did not want to go through that.
Bugger off. You enjoyed it more than I did.
Yeah, once I actually got to see some pretty cool shit, but just the whole thought of, oh yeah, let's go and fucking drag me around for the next couple hours for people to just shove their opinions down my throat. I was just like, fuck that, I've got better shit to do.
Yeah, we got pretty overwhelmed by the 4th house because you talk to so many people.
It all became the same.
Yeah, every house looked
really
the same.
Thinking about it, everything all started merging the same. Everyone was, yeah, we can do this, we can offer that, everyone else is shit. We're the best, we're the strongest. And it's just like, fuck off. And I'll never forget, we went to a few, and obviously I had the loan for my FG. And the one thing I remember telling you was, I don't give a fuck what happens. I know we can afford it since we were paying $500 plus a week in rent. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I'm not going to get rid of my car. It is the one thing I have. I don't go out partying. I don't go out and do shit. I barely ever hang out with mates. My time is me working on the car or going out fucking doing skids.
Yeah, that car is your pride and joy.
Fuck oath, man. That is my thing. That's my baby.
Yep.
You know, so for someone to sit there and go, no, you got to go sell the car to afford a home, you can go get fucked.
Yeah, I'd continue renting.
And we burnt a few bridges along the way by doing that.
So 2016, we reached, actually, I think it was even end of 2015, we started display home shopping. And by 2016, we narrowed down someone, or by narrowed down, we just kind of stuck with the first person we spoke to, really.
Yeah, that actually gave some decent vibes and wasn't sitting there telling us to basically sell the car. And that was the biggest thing for me was, all right, cool. Tell me what I need to do to keep the car and build a home, and we'll do it.
Yep. So we had just applied to build, and my grandpa, he lives across the road from a golf course, and he walks around the outside of the golf course every morning and every night and collects golf balls. That's what he was doing for about a decade. And he said to us, I'm overloaded with the golf balls, and I'm just wondering if you could sell them on eBay or Amazon or whatever, and you can keep the cash. I just don't want this many golf balls in my house. And we're like, yeah, I guess so. I mean, how many do you have? Guys, he had 16,000 golf balls. 16,000. We had to bring 2 cars to transport these.
My exhaust on the Falcon was being skull dragged on Reed Highway because we overloaded. It was, bro, you want to talk about slammed cars? Fucking this thing was so slammed, I thought my exhaust was going to come off. It was a wild ride
It was
back
a thing.
home.
So we ended up starting to sell these golf balls, and I think we had about 7,000, 8,000 left, and a guy came through the house and he's like, I'll just buy the rest of them. And we got to chatting with him. We had a really good conversation, and he grabbed the golf balls, paid the money. I don't remember how much it was. And about 2 weeks later, he sent me a message and said, I really love your energy. I want to offer you a job. And this was right around the Christmas time when I wasn't working because school holidays.
Yeah. Yep.
And I kind of said, yeah, I mean, what have I got to lose if I don't like it? I haven't lost any time off work because I don't go back for another couple of weeks. And met up with him, and he worked in the solar energy kind of range of...
Yeah, it was more towards like doing, like energy efficiency, so like LED lighting and solar for like commercial properties and residential. So it was just one of those solar companies that basically were like door knockers,
yep.
so to speak.
And he offered me a lead generation role.
So basically a door knocker.
A door knocker, yeah. Granted, it was on companies' doors, not residential doors, but it was a door knocker job. So... Yeah. I accepted it. It was a better pay than what my teaching job was offering me, and kind of started there. After maybe 6 months, I got pretty good, and I said to Nik, I reckon you'd be really good. I mean, out of the two of us, he's
I'm the one that will talk your ear off. So to be dead honest, I was so proud of Julia because she's such a fucking introvert.
Yeah.
So for her to go out and knock on these doors and so happy, chirpy, going in and chit-chatting with, the owners of all these businesses around Malaga and all the big commercial, areas like, suburbs. And for her to she was smashing it, man.
I have no idea where I had that energy.
She was booking appointments left, right and center. And, I was at that point where I was basically getting qualified. What was happening is obviously you start working for a big company, it was privately owned, and then it got taken over by AHG and all these things. And it was no longer about, doing quality work. It was about efficiency, and, everything turned into, how quickly can you get it done? They were charging to a client an hour and a half to service a car, but then giving us 30 minutes. Do you know what I mean? It's just to maximize the profits. And it all became about efficiency, not about quality. And at the same time, I'm getting qualified. I'm fixing cars at home, stripping and selling them to make some cash. And then I'm going to the workshop, working fucking stupid hours from 6 a.m. till basically 6 p.m. as an apprentice. And these guys are making me fucking change tyres for most of the time. I'm like, fuck off, I'm not a tyre fitter. So it got to a point I turned around and was like, you know what? I don't want to be 30 years old, 35 or 35 and have a broken back. Like, fuck this shit. I wanted to learn about it. And it's obviously, as much as I have a passion for cars, this just wasn't going to be the end for it. So I was like, you know what? And that's when Julie was getting real good at what she was doing. And she said, you know what? There's a lot more opportunities here, and if shit does hit the fan and you don't like it, I can always just go get another fucking job.
Yeah, by then you'd have your mechanic.
100%. Yeah, I was just going to get signed off and happy days. So we gave it a trial. And, you know, then I started, at first I was shaking and not really talking because, fuck, I've never sold shit before. All I know is fucking find a problem, fix it, and it should be right, you know.
Yeah.
Just make ends meet.
Yep. So yeah, Nik jumped on board, and maybe another 5 or 6 months after that, the company actually went under.
Surprise.
And yeah, I mean, they were quite a startup, so you succeed or you fail in the first 2 years. So it is what it is. And we basically started looking for sales jobs because by then we had a good conversation with like the sales manager and everything, and he gave us a lot of insight into selling.
Yeah, and we were doing a couple like, you know, your Julian Belfords and Grant Cardone and all, you know, Zig Ziglar. There was quite a lot of like different ones about how to sell and things to look at and all those type of like, you know, hurrah, fucking Monday morning, high five sale, like type of style of jobs and of being a sales consultant. And we were also getting quite confident with what we were doing. We knew what we were doing. We had a rhythm going and we were securing these killer fucking appointments, but then the sales consultants just weren't delivering on it.
Yeah.
And we sat there and there was many times I was like, if I was the one that sat in that meeting and presented what they wanted, I reckon we could have secured that fucking deal. And instead, these fuckers didn't know what they were doing because we were creating that rapport with the company, and then all of a sudden someone else is fucking up. So how hard can it be?
And you, at the same time, keep in mind, this is running parallel to us building our home.
Yes.
So this is probably as we were getting to our slab down or maybe even brick stage.
It's about brick stage, yeah.
And we were seeing that the sales agents from the solar company kept fucking up. Our sales rep had kind of ghosted us after
we had
quite
all
a bad
sorts
experience.
of, by that stage we had already been fucked over with price increases and all sorts of shit. So
and the whole kind of motto that we had is how hard can it be to sell and do it properly?
Fuck oath.
And the two kind of married up. The idea of getting into a sales role and the idea of how hard can it be to service clients well in the building industry. And we kind of just fell into this
you know
role.
what? And by failing, it was me applying on Seek.
Yeah.
And this is actually something interesting where it's going to divide a few people. It's to be a sales consultant in residential building, you don't technically need any prior qualifications. Now, if you're selling property, you need to have a real estate license.
Yes.
Or if you're a property manager, you need a license.
Yes, that's about 6 months worth of studying because I've done the degree.
Yeah, because you've done it. So whereas with building, you don't actually need to do so because you're just selling a concept. You're not – the actual drawings of it and all those things are actually controlled by, you know, draftsmen and architects, etc. So basically these consultants can rely on those other, you know, divisions, so to speak, to present the options for you.
Yeah, they lean on the builder.
Yeah, they lean on the builder. So it can be a bit scary when people start listening going, holy fuck, like, you want to talk about Insider Secret? That's a big one.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like I started there, but I was looking, when I started looking at what builders, you know, to potentially consider this and that, looking at reputations and what they were providing, what they were offering. A big thing for me was I didn't want to just start in and get thrown into a display home and she'd be right with a fucking sales book and
you kind of had that anyway, but
I technically had that anyways. But at the same time, they were willing to try and offer some training, some advice about it. And the amount of late hours I was doing back then, like, and how much Julia supported me during this time was fucking insane.
You got to remember, I also jumped into the housing industry,
you
and
did.
we actually made a bet, or we made a deal because of how long it takes to actually get paid as a consultant. That's another episode that we'll be covering later. One of us had to have a stable job and bring in income
because we had a fucking mortgage and we were renting.
We were renting. We had an upcoming mortgage.
We just up and left our jobs and
the company went under, so it's not like we left the jobs. The job left us.
Yeah, and so, you know, it was fucking starting in this industry with like fuck all in our bank account. It was a lot of pressure, and you know, these type of jobs don't actually just offer, you know, money up front just for shits and gigs. You know, there's always a catch-22 with whatever the companies throw at you.
Yeah.
And that's how they lured us in, you know, to try and help assist us, etc. And we had a bet, and basically me and Julie got thrown into the most furthest fucking estate away. It was basically, and I know the managers will be listening to this because they keep an eye on what we do. To this day, I still feel like this. It was a fuck you.
What? clients.
to us to see if we can make it. And you know what? We fucking proved them. Well, I proved them because Julie lost that bet. I sold the first one. Thank you to some of the connections that I had and some friends and did a referral and ended up selling it through. So then we had the ultimatum with Julie and we sat down and said, all right, cool. I sold the first house. You need to go back to some sort of
9 to 5
to 5 job to have some sort of cash flow coming while I really push with the social media and everything else to try and get our feet stable because we had just gone through so much shit during that time. And we always made sure that our mortgage was the first thing to get paid and our rent.
I mean, to be fair, I think it was the best option because you are the extrovert in the relationship. I am the paperwork person. That's why I read the script or guide the script, and Nik, he just talks. He can make friends with a hole in the wall. He will make friends with a frog. I will sit in a corner and kind of be, hi.
Hey, friend.
This is very out of my comfort zone. Okay, anyway, so Nik started at an unnamed company. We're not going to name any companies.
Anyone,
if you know, you know, but we are not going to name companies just for legal reasons. We don't want any lawyers coming after us. And the vibe of the company, it was quite a salesy company.
Yeah, 100%.
They were all about the Monday morning clap.
Yep.
And it was a bit of a lads club where they really supported the ones who would perform
and you know, would try and get in with the click. And if you didn't, you kind of get pushed away to the side.
A little bit.
Yeah. And the whole industry was a lot like that. Still technically is. There are little bits and bobs, so a bit more easy, a bit more understanding now.
We also don't see it. We don't work in our company anymore. So we're our own independent. So we don't really see the sales rooms anymore if they have the Monday morning meetings.
We can't comment on that. We haven't been like that for a couple of years because you know what? You learn from it, you develop from it. It's shaped who I was back then, and over time, you know, and that was a big thing with the type of person I was back then, you know, and the attitude I had towards everything. And it was a lot of things that over time you start to adapt and realize. And one of the biggest key things that me and Julia both sat down and really agreed when getting into this industry was, I'm not going to fucking change for this job.
It's one of your mottos.
100%, because sales consultants, anyone that thinks of those sleazy fucking car salesmen that will promise the fucking world just to get you to sign on that dotted line and then that's it. Whereas I'm the complete opposite. I'll make sure that everything is fucking sorted. If you're happy, cool. If not, there's a fucking door, because I didn't get that. We didn't get that from our own build. So that was one of the biggest core values that I stuck to and going, this is how I'm going to do it. It's not for everyone. It might not be for a couple of those sensitive flowers of how I talk and how I am. But at the end of the day, there will be someone out there that will appreciate what I do and how I do it. I just have to find those people.
Yeah, unfiltered information where, I mean, the motto you have is, you won't change for me, or I haven't been able to change you. Why would you change for a job?
Fucking oath.
Because the sales manager told you have to drive a nice car, wear a nice watch, wear a suit.
You have to wear this type of pants. You got to wear a belt. You can't be wearing, you know, the type of person I am. A lot of people will see this, like, you know, with all the race cars and shit. I rock up in fucking Air Forces, or now I'm into Vans. I'm a bit more nicer. Fucking jeans chinos,
and a t-shirt.
And a fucking normal t-shirt, man. Like, I don't give a fuck about these button-up shirts. I've had to wear button-up shirts for our wedding, for a couple other clients' weddings and shit.
About the wedding,
and
my
I fucking
God.
sucked, man. Like, it's uncomfortable. It's not who I am as a person. So I just wanted to stay true to who I am. And that was a big thing for me, to try and find what that is and to stick to it no matter what. And I had many, many meetings with managers and warnings about how I was and shit. I didn't give a flying fuck. Don't text clients. Don't do this. Fuck that, man. We're messaging at fucking midnight. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, that's it.
I'll do what we need to do.
So yeah, the experience in this first unnamed company, it really drove you to perform, and really,
it was all about numbers.
It was all about numbers, but you stuck true to yourself, because as much as it's a numbers game and it's all about how many deals you get, you stuck true to who you are and remember each client individually. I mean,
100%.
we've got a spreadsheet of all of our clients, because we track all of our clients as they build through the progress.
Every fortnight, we're always keeping track of everything that's going on, so that we can always make sure that if something was to have a slip up, we've always got something from a point of reference, not always leaning on a third party.
And I know clients by name. I don't know them by job number. You know, if you talk
I have to fucking go through every client's name to go on their quote number to get their job number
Yeah,
because I don't fucking know them. Because a lot of the time the communication between me and the builders is based on job numbers.
Yeah, job number 20472.
Blah, blah, blah. And then I'm sitting there going,
Who the fuck is that?
it's fucking, Kane and Kate or this and this. And they're like, who the fuck is that? I'm like, oh, fuck. Especially now that we have like 7 Connors and 6 Michaels.
Oh my God. It's not even funny. The Callum story.
Oh,
we
bro.
have 2 Callums, one that's just started building and one that's just
finished.
just finishing up building. One Callum called me and asked me questions one day. The following day, the other Callum called me up and asked me questions, and I thought it was the first Callum. Oh, it was a whole nightmare. I looked like such an idiot.
Funny as fuck. But it's awesome. Like, so these were the things that we were we stuck true to who we were and what we wanted out of the journey, which we didn't get. So I made sure that was part of the entire process because we didn't have our hand held. We had everyone promise us and then shit didn't happen. And one of my biggest things is I don't want to be presenting anything to anyone without me being comfortable or me being able to stand behind it. And that is, if I say we're going to go and have fucking beers on that slab, we're going for fucking beers.
Yep.
We'll work around. If we got to do it on the weekend or we got to do it late at night or fucking first thing in the morning at 7 a.m, we're fucking, mate, I'm fucking done it all. We will do it because that's what we're about. We're not about, oh yeah, we do this amazing fucking thing. And then when it comes to actually having to deliver it, oh, sorry, I'm so busy, this and that. We're all fucking busy, but you can always find the time and I will always make that time for our clients.
And whilst at this company, you did a lot of self-learning. You learned a lot from other consultants, a lot from your managers.
Yep.
And it was towards the end of your time at this company where I kind of jumped it back in. So between Nik starting and me going to a 9 to 5, I went into a aged care facility as a receptionist, and I worked my way up through the administration
then you were admin, then you were manager, then you were the PA, then you were doing project managing. Bro, you were fucking
I kind of jumped around everything. I like my paperwork. And I worked my way up the administration ladder, and Nik kind of came to me and he said, I need help with paperwork. I am overloaded with paperwork. I'm unorganized. Nik sucks at paperwork.
I'm fucking shit.
Like, genuinely?
I will raise my hand up to these people. I fucking hate paperwork, but I will sit there and I will spit yarn and get shit done. But when it comes to, you got to remember, even though we'll sit there and go through all these things that we've spoken about up until now, and then you do sign on the dotted line and we start the process, the amount of paperwork that it takes to get through the system so that we can create your building contracts and all this shit, there is a fucking lot of it. And it's the bane of my existence. And I may do shit last minute, activate deadline mode. That's just how I work. And unfortunately, it's okay when I'm doing 1 or 2 homes a month. But when I started selling 3, 6, 10, 15 a month, it was just fucking, I was ripping my hair out. I was having panic attacks. And
walking up to your desk and seeing the paperwork everywhere,
it was pretty
I
intense.
had anxiety looking at the paperwork.
Join the club, bro.
When you signed someone up and then like, yeah, okay, can you just do all the paperwork for it? I had to go digging for people's paperwork. I mean, I found it. Like everyone there now
sorted.
has a house, but far out, Nik.
Yeah, I know. And that's where it finally got to a point where I sat there and said, I need help.
Yeah.
And I basically gave you the ultimatum. It's just the type of person I am. I sat there to Julia and said, look, I know you really love what you're doing as a job, but I'm struggling here. And I know we're doing quite well. We're starting to get a lot better. And the reality is I need someone to help me with the paperwork to try and get these things done so I can continue servicing the clients I already have and to look for more business. So one of 2 things is going to have to happen. Either I find someone and hire them on as like a contractor admin and pay them directly, or you give up your job and do that for me. And we sat there and we looked at it and you made the decision going, you know what, why work in your job to then pay for someone else's job? You might as well just fucking give up and do it. And then that way we can work and do the same thing, but then it will become more beneficial in the future.
Yeah, and I did love my job. I loved my job. My God, I cried.
You still catch up with some of the guys, like even to this day, and like it's been fucking years, man.
Yeah, it's been a couple of years now. So it was also at this time when the garage concepts came about, and you started.
Well, that's when they start taking off.
It is, and it's when you kind of recognized that your social media, which was at the time only Facebook, needed to expand. And so I had come on board, done a bit of the paperwork, and our social media started going off on Facebook. And we said, you know what, we should really expand into a secondary platform because Facebook might just not be enough or it might not be around in a couple of years' time. Let's expand into a secondary platform, which was Instagram.
Yeah, fuck. I knew people were like into Insta and shit. Me being me, I was just like, what the fuck is the point of this shit? I barely use Facebook as it was. So to go into Instagram, I'm like, well, this ain't going to do shit.
Like, yeah, neither one of us had an Instagram account. Yeah, I will. Neither one of us had an Instagram account. We had no idea how to use it. That was a whole learning curve.
Yeah, that was a whole different ball game.
And from there, at the time, Nik was called Nik Tsvetkowski, new
House and Land Specialist.
House and Land Specialist or new home consultant.
New home consultant, House and Land Specialist, and
something like that. And I kind of looked at where we were going and the niche that we were. Well, it depends where you're from. Niche. It depends. No, I fucked myself up.
No, so we had that target niche, and the thing is what was also happening, something I was struggling with is we were going to car events, we were fucking representing the business and trying to do what we're doing, and there was a lot of what's called crossover where people would be reaching out to the specific building company because they've seen us, shredding tires at Power Cruise and shit, or they've heard about our garage designs and on social media, and instead of that business coming back to us, it was going to other consultants and shit, and then I was getting plastered with that garage design, that's Nik from X Builder. And I was sitting there going, that's not who I am. I am my own person. Yes, I work on behalf for that builder. I give them the business, but the builder doesn't do this shit. They're not going out and taking photos of every client from when they start, when they end, giving the painting gifts, going out to clients and holding their hands. They're just doing the generic shit. So like for me to get plastered over time, I started getting really pissed off with it. And it was just, people weren't seeing, they valued what we did and they wanted it, but they didn't know how to approach it.
Yeah, and they didn't know.
My surname's not the easiest to fucking remember either.
It's so not. So yeah, from there we kind of decided to brand ourselves, and that's when Mr Enthusiast came about. I mean, the amount of time we spent thinking about a name. Yeah. And guys, if you could see our logo development, I don't think I'll ever release that because it's just it's a journey that we went through.
It was a journey, but again, it's one of those things. I heard the feedback, we're taking it on, and we adapted to where it is now. And this is where Mr Enthusiast, we started with the branding and pulling the name out. It was already taking a life on its own with the clients and the journeys and everything that we were doing. And it continued to develop and get better and more.
It still does.
And it still is to this day. And it was still getting bigger. And the thing is with Mr Enthusiast, yes, I'm known for the garages. I pioneered these 6-7 years ago and it went fucking viral. And I am not trying to be someone I'm not. I'm into the cars. I live with these struggles, and that's what we developed on. But the thing is it's not just cars. It's like we were saying before. We've got hairdressers salons, sex rooms. We've got music rooms, studios, gaming setups. We've done reptile rooms. We've done for everyone. So for me to sit there and go, it's Nik for the garage guy or whatever bullshit. It's not right. It's actually about the enthusiasts. It's about people that have those passions and hobbies. So and Mr Enthusiast came about.
Mr Enthusiast was born. We expanded into Instagram. We developed our logo and we began developing our website.
Yes.
And towards, just as we had launched our website and our logo and everything, was when we left this builder.
Yes.
And I'm going to skip a couple years forward so we left that company in 2020.
We left that company mainly because the whole COVID bullshit was happening. They started firing, they were just firing a couple of, long-standing employees. And I started getting concerned about the fact that if they're treating staff like that, what's going to happen to clients? Because my everything is my clients.
Yes.
And that is the entire embodiment of what Mr Enthusiast is. So if I saw a big concern and my reputation potentially being tarnished, and I went, fuck this, it's going to be rough, but we have to move because it's my reputation. I don't care if we lose on a lot of money, which we did.
We did.
Money can come back. You can make more money, but The reputation, as soon as I fuck one person over, everything's done.
It's
Everything's
also
finished.
our values. Like what this company was doing no longer lined up with our values.
100%.
And that's so important to the two of us. It really, really is.
It fucking is. It's everything about us. And for some people, they're fine not, to continue working with that builder and with others that are similar. That's fine. You do you, boo. But me,
Yep.
this is what I am. And I'm, like I was saying, I'm not going to fucking change. And it came to that. And we had to make that executive decision. So that was and that's when the whole fucking boom happened. I was in surgery, all the shit that happened. Fucking,
God.
It was 2020 was fucking wild.
Again, if you know, you know. But yeah, so let's jump. That was in April 2020.
Yep.
And let's jump forward to October 2021.
Cool.
So a year and a bit.
18 months, we've all gone through the struggles of the entire
building
building boom
boom.
and the grants and low interest rates and all this shit that's happening. And now we're starting to have that turning point where builders were starting to do long construction timeframes. They aren't able to secure, trades, and which is still happening to this day.
It is, yeah.
It was starting to really come to play. And we were in discussions with some builders that we were keeping tabs on and having light conversations about what our Mr Enthusiast vision was. And there were many things that were happening in the background with us and where we were taking things.
And a lot of personal growth, a lot of
100%.
personal and business growth, because in those 18 months, we were started as Facebook, Instagram, and a website.
Yes.
We grew into personal emails, because when you work for a builder, you don't have your own email with like your own web domain. It is nick@buildingcompany.com.au. So we made our own emails. It's now Nik at Mr Enthusiast, Julia at Mr Enthusiast. We created our own YouTube channel.
Yes. Yep.
We created our own business cards, because again, when you work for a builder, it's Nik, and on the back it's builder company. So we
Yes.
have our own business cards. We made our own folders, and in October, 3 days after we got married, we got the keys to our own office, because we were tired of working out of a builder's office.
That was a big thing, and driving so far. And the big thing for us was with obviously the long hours I was doing to try and meet with clients, and driving back home at fucking 12 o'clock midnight, 2, 3 a.m. There were many times that, it was quite dangerous.
It was a bit
where-
sketch.
Fucking oath it was. There was a few times I almost fell asleep on the road, man. Driving back from Mandurah at 2 a.m. Like, it's just wild things. So we just wanted to make it a bit more convenient for us, and with how we're going completely independent, no longer, on behalf of one builder. It was getting several builders that work with our values and our demands about what our clients want. We wanted our own space, and obviously being a bit more closer to where I get all my car shit done.
Yep,
and
closer
all
to
that.
home.
Yep, close to home. So we found a killer place in Malaga, and that became the Mr Enthusiast HQ.
It did, yeah. And I mean, I'm glad that we got the office, but it's not how I really wanted to spend my honeymoon week. Painting the office, covered to head to toe in paint and
Fuck, that was wild.
dust.
Yeah,
and
because I had already booked meetings for 3
Nick
days
was
in
booking
advance.
meetings, sitting in the one little front room talking to clients while we're in the back room like painting. Oh, it was a journey.
It was an experience.
It
I probably
was.
wouldn't do it again, but definitely.
I would wait.
I'd structure it a bit better next time, but it is what it is. You take those challenges, and that's the big thing with us is we'll challenge it head on,
Yep.
and we'll make it work
Yep.
rather than freaking out.
And when we got the office, we also partnered up with our current builder that we're working with, which is Levita Homes.
Yes.
We had a lot of discussions with other builders, and Levita Homes really aligned with our values, our core values. It aligned with our vision. It supports the clients for clients and not just a number.
100%. And they're very fucking transparent.
They are.
They deliver on what they say, and they're not willing to sit there and fluff anything up. They're there to call it as it is. And that is so refreshing in this industry with builders and their fake promotions and all the bullshit that they do. For a builder to come and go, nah, man, we can guarantee the timeframes, we can guarantee pricing, but this is how we can do it, and we can back that up. Whereas no one was willing to back it up and show us the documents or anything. So to this day, I'm sorry to the owners, but I grilled the absolute fuck out of them because they're a smaller company. I had my concerns, as many of you guys know, because at the end of the day, bills are going under, shit's going wrong. We didn't want to go
price increases.
Yeah, there was so much happening. We didn't want to be working with a builder to then potentially have to sit down and have those conversations with clients going, hey, you've got a price increase. Oh shit, the builder went under. Now we're fucked. So there was a lot of things that I was taking care of in the background with just doing R&D, making sure that everything and our due diligence. And once we were 100% happy, we started that partnership with them. And then we also took on another builder that helped focus a lot more on different type of business that Levada weren't 100% comfortable on, so that we could ensure to service everyone in Perth Metro.
And yeah, really that's who we are, I guess. We are a husband and wife team. It's just the two of us.
Yes.
And
Just a young, small family run business.
Yeah.
We are very focused on client experience and client satisfaction and ensuring that anything that we say we deliver on. A big thing for what we are is we under promise and over deliver.
Yeah.
It is a huge thing about us, and that is something that we really stick to with the embodiment of what Mr Enthusiast is.
Yeah.
And we want, we're here to shake things up. We're here to fucking call things as it is, if you haven't noticed that by now.
We're also big advocates for supporting a charity. We are, obviously, we have 2 dogs and a cat.
The little fur babies.
Our fur babies. And we sponsor
APS,
which is Animal Protection Society of WA, because we strongly believe that you should give back to the community.
100%. It was something that when I started in this industry, it was something, one of the pointers from one of the managers that actually gave back to me is, once you are in the position, pay it forward. And one of those, and the best way I could see that we could do that and to actually make a difference was to go and help a non-for-profit charity that aligned with our values and with what we did. There are many companies that go and help, sports clubs, etc., in different avenues. We wanted something different, something that was close to home, and something that we could really feel. And it was especially with how you are, Julia, as a person, and how empathetic you are. That's the word. I was going to say emotional, that little bit too, but empathetic more than anything towards all animals and wanting to give them the best opportunity. The amount we go to on holidays and you're giving your food away to the strays.
But it's your puppy.
Yeah, but it's your puppy. But rather than, feeding yourself, it's that selflessness that you have, that it's always about taking care of others, and I wanted to implement that into the business.
Yeah.
And the best way we found that was with a company like APS WA, and the best thing we've ever fucking done. Yeah.
So for those that don't know, APS rehome dogs and cats. It's basically what we do, but for animals. We help people find a home.
And pull a roof over their head.
Yeah, and they do the same. They help dogs and cats find their forever home.
Forever home.
Forever home. And that really encompasses, I guess, who we are.
And the whole vision of what Mr Enthusiast is. And the biggest thing with how we've grown and where we are now is because of every single one of our supporters. You guys are listening to us here, people that are simply, that are, have given us feedback over the years that haven't actually built with us, but have been able to give us some feedback. We take that on and we adapt it and we mold it to make sure that we're trying to do the best that we can. And we know we're not perfect, but we are the first ones to stick our hands up and go, hey, this isn't working for us, but let's try and make something work and make it better.
I would pay for some criticism, because most of our clients are kind of saying, everything was great. We're like, but what did we do wrong? Because I want to improve.
Yeah, but sometimes we are doing the right thing, and it's hard for people to find faults when there are many faults with others because they're not doing as much as we are. At the end of the day, it's because we're taking those things on. But again, if there's any feedback or any ideas or questions, guys, send them through to us. And I think that's basically it. Feel free to subscribe. We'll be smashing more episodes through once a week.
Yep. Plug. Where can everyone find us?
Sweet. So you got your Google.
Yep.
You got our website, www.mrenthusiast.net.au. You got us on Facebook and Insta as Mr Enthusiast New Homes by Nik. You've got our TikTok, which is Mr Enthusiast. We're on YouTube. We're on our podcast platforms. So that's what, Spotify
and Apple
Podcast. I think that's it.
That's it. And
I think that's enough. Social platforms.
I think that's enough.
Bro, that's so much to take on. But anyway, reach out to us. Flick us a message. You can find my direct number on Google.
No, it's not
give us a
hidden.
call. It's not hidden. Give us a call.
Yep.
Send us an email at nick@mrenthusiast.net.au and we'll talk to you on the next one.
Just remember, guys, we're
When-
not here.
To fuck spiders.
Bye.